So what do you do in a situation where you have both x and y? Well, first things first, read the question. It tells you, you got to factor this, but now you also have to end up solving for y. So you may not get like x equaling to a number. In this case, you want y to stay in the equation. Y doesn't become 0 in this sense. So how do you go out and factor this? Simple. First things first. Bring this guy over, okay? Add 7xy to both sides, okay? Add 7xy to both sides, canceling that. There's your 0. But your original ones now have an x squared plus a 7xy plus a 12y squared in it. So you have y in your question. Y doesn't just cancel out in this one. Well, does it make it any more difficult? No, it doesn't, because you should recognize this as a PSA trinomial. So P, S, A, look at that, real simple. The product is still 12, okay, still 12. The sum is still 7, but you're going to have an XY in things. So what? We'll worry about that when we get there. So two numbers together to multiply to give me 12, that add up to give me 7 is 4 and 3, okay? But here's the part I want to show you. Unlike PSA 2, this has a 1 here, which means 4 and 3 are now your answer. So how do I write this out? How do I write this out? I know that this is going to be a 4 here. I know this is going to be a 3 here. And I know that this is going to be an x and an x. But where do the y's come from? Well, think about it. 4 times 3 has to give you 12. Well, how do you get 12y squared? Simple. Make this a y, make that a y. And the fact that both of them are positive, watch what happens when I FOIL this. X times x gives me my x squared. My outers become 3xy. My inners become 4xy. And check this out. My last becomes my positive 12y squared. And when I combine these two things together, look what I got. I got my x squared plus 7xy plus 12y squared, which was my original right here. So don't let the XY freak you out. It shouldn't. Now, I'm going to clean this up a little bit because I've done a little bit of extra, went on a bit of a tangent here, and I haven't actually answered the question yet. So let me get rid of this, and let's go back to what we had in factored form here, okay? All right, so here we go. Watch this. Now, so I'm at this point right here, and it's asked to solve for y. What does solve for y mean? Well, that means y equals 2. That's what it means. So let's take each one of these. X plus 4y, let's let that equal to 0. The x plus 3y, let's let that equal to 0. Now, solving for y equals 2, look at the first one, means I want to solve for that. So I want it to be y equals 2. So bring the x over. Easy peasy. There you go, giving you 4y equals 2 minus x. Now, last step here. Get rid of the 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. So I've got y equaling to negative x over 4. There's my first answer. And yes, I know it's the answer's in terms of an x, but so what? That's what it's asked you to find. Find me the y equals 2. So let's do the same thing to this one right here. I'll write it over here for just a bit more room. Okay, so you got x plus 3y equals to 0. Let's get rid of the x again. That's gone, leaving you a 3y equals to negative x. Now, divide by 3, you have y equals to negative x over 3. So both of these are y equals 2. They just happen to have an x in the equation. Okay, so long, drawn-out process, but I think it's pretty cool. So let's do this next one that I have written here. Okay, I've got a little bit of time in this podcast. Let's see if we can be a bit more efficient. So just like the last time, get rid of the xy, make this equal to 0, but look where I'm putting the xy. I'm putting it in the middle. So this becomes 3x squared minus 13xy, okay, plus 4y squared. That equals to 0, and by letting it equal to 0, that allows us to solve things. Now, think about it. We don't have a 1 here. We have a 3. So can we GCF? No, because 13 is not divisible. This 13 is not divisible by 3. So guess what? It's a PSA 2. All right, so PSA 2 means you take the front guy and the back guy, you multiply them together. That gives you 12. The sum is minus 13, and because it's a PSA 2, we cannot go to the answer. Okay, we have to do that grouping and stuff. Okay, so how do I get positive 12 as a product and a sum of negative 13? Well, simple. Minus 1 and minus 12. Look at that. Minus 1 plus minus 12 gives us, oops, made that look like a 13. There we go. Add those two numbers together, you actually get the negative 13. So rewrite this equation, 3x squared minus xy, because remember, the middle term is an xy, okay, minus 12xy plus the 4y squared. It's a group of 4, so of course you can group factor this now. That's a group factor. That's a group factor. Take out a 3x now from this thing. Aha. So GCF taking out a 3x leaves you with an x here minus, oh, we can't take out a 3. We can't take out a 3. There's no 3 there. Look at that. Okay, so we are stuck. Well, not really. Go back to your original question and take a look. We can't take out a 3 because there's no 3 here, but we can still take out an x. So let's see where that takes us. Take out an x, leaves you with a 3x here minus y. Now, look at this guy. We can take a 4 out, but remember, being that this is negative, you want to change it to a positive because you want them to match, right? So we're going to take out a negative 4, but this has got an x in it, that does not. This has got a y and this has got a y squared, so guess what? You can take out a y. Isn't that interesting? Leaving you this time with a, guess what? A 3x. And because you're taking out a negative, that turns this to a negative, and you took the 4 out, and you took a y out, leaving you with y. And check it out. These two things match again. How wonderful. Which means now you can take them out and GCF them. So this guy and this guy are in fact now gone, right? And leaves you with an x minus 4y. And sure enough, there is your factored form. Keep on going though, because you have not answered the question. This says again to solve for, let's back it up, I'll see. It says solve for y again. So you want it to be a y equals 2. All right, so here we go. 3x minus y equals to 0, right? Take the 3x from both sides. That's gone, leaving you a minus y equals to minus 3x. Minus minus makes it a plus. And there's your first answer. Your second answer then would be this x minus 4y equals to 0. Subtract the x from both sides, again eliminating that, leaving you with a minus 4y equals to a minus x. Divide by minus 4, divide by minus 4, a negative negative, right? Makes it a positive, so you've got a y equals to x over 4. So it's a very interesting way of factoring that PSA 2 and putting an xy in there. Doesn't really complicate things too much.